Okay. Excuse me. My allergies are very bad right now, but I wanted to finally address probably the biggest elephant in the room in my life right now. Before I go into, just kind of the brief rundown, I first of all had to be very careful about what I share because it is a lot and it is heavy and it is hard hitting, especially for me still going through it. Take this off actually. Excuse me. I want to preface this by saying the events in which I'll be talking about with the particular person that I will be speaking about, I do not wish any ill will towards her. I am not angry with her. I am, of course, hurt by the circumstances, but, so, last year, if anybody recalls, I got married, and it was, at first it was, very fun. It was fun. It was new. It was, very, refreshing. It was an exciting new adventure, a new chapter in my life that I was obviously very persistent on opening. And I knew this individual for about a year before I married her. We got engaged a few months before into our relationship, we got engaged. And, at first there were some, red flags that I had completely ignored, and everyone around me, my friends, my family, warned me about the red flags that I was very obviously, purposefully avoiding. And, should I have listened to them? Yes. Should I have gone with my gut several times in this horrendous relationship? Absolutely. But I didn't. She was, as time went on, we ended up moving in together. We shared a life together, at least from what I thought, but eventually, as time went on, it honestly felt like she was living a life completely separate from me. She would often avoid me, and she would use that as an excuse to say that she has an avoidant attachment style, and that is fine. It is totally fine to be an avoidant attachment person, but with who I am as a person, that is not what I want or who I want in a relationship or in a partner. And I can confidently and fully say that now. And time went on. Things went awry pretty quickly. And I'm not saying in a general timeline sense. I'm talking about the in-between. It was cycles. It was cycles of things going awry, things going south, and then things going good. It was, the whole addiction to the talk to a toxic relationship of the dopamine hits, and then the getting let down, and then the breakdowns, and then it just was a cycle. That's why they call it a cycle. And you know, I truly, truly, deeply loved that person more than anything, more than myself. And a massive part of me did not love myself enough to just stop and be like, hey, this isn't okay. You shouldn't be treated this way, and you shouldn't be tolerating this kind of treatment from somebody that say that they love you but don't show it. She did get physically abusive with me. There were times where I thought in that marriage that I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. Initially, we did not move in together at first for the first couple of months of our marriage, and we probably should have. I honestly have no idea, but I was away from home. I was away from my family. I was away from my friends. I was away from social situations that I felt, you know, I needed to be a part of. I'm a very social person when I want to be. There are obviously times where I don't really want to be social with people. I'm not, but I feel like that's just human nature. Like sometimes we want to be social and sometimes we just don't. Let me think about the timeline. We got married the 1st of March of 2024. And let's see, we got an apartment together that she didn't even really live at for about a month. And then eventually I just moved in with her that summer, the beginning of May. I had moved in with her officially. And I, you know, with us being married and her work schedule and me, you know, just trying to navigate my own life. Mind you, this woman is 8 years older than I am, and she has a pretty hectic life schedule in general. Granted, that doesn't excuse her behaviors, nor do they excuse mine. But it's just where I lived in one city with my family, and she lived in another with just her mother. And yeah, our families were literally divided like almost an hour away from each other. And anyone who personally knows me knows that I am a deeply family-oriented person. And I ended up having to no longer get insurance for my mental health disorders, for the medication that I desperately needed and obviously do need to be on to ensure that my mental health is good, or at least okay. I wasn't on any of my medication that I actually needed to be on for a year, and that was all on its own just really unsettling. I was turning into somebody that I honestly didn't even recognize, and I do have borderline personality disorder, and I do have bipolar disorder. However, my symptoms really weren't as like that severe until I stopped taking my medication, and my ex-wife refused to pay for my medications, but also she refused to let me get a job, and I can't drive. I don't know how to drive. I'm almost 27, still don't know how to drive. And we were like in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't really go anywhere or do anything, and she coerced so much isolation onto me that I would have to make sure that anything that I would share with my family, if I dared text them or if they tried to reach out to me, that the conversations would be deleted from my call logs or my text messages, because my ex always went through my phone no matter what, blaming me for, or accusing me, that's the word, accusing me for cheating on her when there was no evidence of it. Were there some things that I probably shouldn't have posted online about us? Yes. But eventually it got to the point where I deleted, literally, not even deactivated, deleted all of my previous social media accounts. I had pictures of my family and like essentially my like life in a little like social media platform. Yeah, it was brief, but it was still meaningful to me, and those are gone. I don't know if I can or will ever get those back. And there are things that I, like really big life-changing things that happened in the months leading up to what I'm about to talk about. She made me block all of my family members. I was not allowed to text or call any of them, and that's when she if she found out or knew that I was talking to my mother, who I've always been very close to, if she found out that I was talking to my mother, she would get physically violent with me. And I'm very close with my mother. I always have been. I love my mom dearly. I love her so much, and because of not only the isolation, and me having to cut everyone off, it was also my own poor decision making that caused me to have rifts in my family life and in my friend groups, that I'm still working on and healing. And it's not, initially, it wasn't really my doing, but at the same time, it's like, I put myself in that situation, and I was not abusive towards her, but that does not mean that my behavior was okay either. However, I was in a very, very toxic situation with somebody that I loved but didn't love me, and I was in a situation where I felt like, if I could best describe it, it felt like I was being corrupted. It felt like my psyche was completely warped. And it's because, first of all, the two biggest things being my family not in my life, at the time, and also not being on my medications, and also not being in therapy. So it was just a very difficult time for me. I was abusing substances because my ex-wife couldn't afford to get my medication. Meanwhile, she was out all the time. She was bringing home gaming consoles. She was going on work trips that were allegedly paid for by her work, whatever. And I come to find out later on, like right after I got out of this marriage, actually, that she'd been cheating on me. And, you know, I'm really, as much as I, wish her well, that does not mean that I am separating the actions that she made to make me get to my lowest point, to where I was abusing substances, to where I was isolating myself, to where I became a completely unrecognizable person. And I went into, my substance, like, this situation was so bad, my substance abuse was so bad that I went into psychosis and didn't sleep for several days. And it was just, I could blame myself for it, it is partially my fault for not, getting sleep, but I was in such a high stress situation. My mental capacity, my mental health was so off. It was so off to the point where I didn't know if there was even any point in returning the way that my mental state used to be. I still don't think my mental state is where it was before all of that happened to me, which is probably a good thing. And we recently went to court for trying to get my dog back, and she didn't give her back, so I'm probably not ever gonna see Frankie again, as much as I want to. And before anyone comes at me and is like, well, you should have fought for your dog harder, I couldn't have fought any harder than I already was. Like, I did everything I could in my own power and to my own knowledge to try and get her back. And also, as not good of a person as my ex-wife is, my dog is in good hands. I do not trust my ex in general with anything except for taking care of Frankie. And it sucks that it turned out that way. It hurts. It's been a really hard grieving process for me to go through and process. It's because Frankie, when I was, caught in the middle of my own emotional turmoil, along with the physical and mental and emotional abuse I was going through, that tore me down so much. It literally felt like I was dying, spiritually, mentally, physically. It felt like I was dying. And I don't really know how else to describe it. because that's just exactly what it felt like. It felt like my life, my spirit, my entire sense of self was just stripped away from me. And all that I felt and all that I knew for months was just suffering. It was suffering. It was PTSD attacks. It was panic attacks. It was wanting to get away but not knowing how to get away. It was mentally, especially toward the end, it felt like I had already completely dismissed myself out of that relationship. Because I was originally gonna live with her after we got divorced, thinking she gave me a lot of false hope, thinking, you know, we're gonna get married again, you're gonna be able to talk to your family again, you're gonna be able to do this, you're gonna be able to do that. And I just thought to myself, if that's not happening now, that's never gonna happen. Like, for some reason, you just don't want me to talk to anyone that knows me on a personal level. And it's like, God forbid somebody else knows me better than you know me. Like, she didn't, and I truly feel like she didn't know me. I feel like she knew the sick version of me because that's the version of me that she wanted. Because I was easier to control, I was easier to manipulate, I was easier to just... When someone's, and I know this, I'm speaking from experience, when somebody's mental health is that vulnerable and that fragile and you are in survival mode and you're willing to do anything you can to just survive, not even live, but survive, you are desperate. You are desperate. You are in a desperate situation. For me, it was the constant fight or flight, or, you know, fight or flight, or just leave. There were so many times where I just wanted to call my mom, just in general, and talk to her, because, mind you, before I moved in with her, I was always in touch with my mom. I talked to my mom about everything. Not everything, but she's my mom, and I value my bond with her, and I value my closeness with her. Like, she's my mother, and while she may not understand the capacity at which my mental health is sometimes, she's still supporting me. She's still loving me. She's still wanting the best for me. She's just the most supportive mother any daughter could ask for. Like, and, you know, I could be mad. I could be mad at my ex about keeping Frankie, but honestly, she can have her. It's okay. As painful as grief is, it's okay. Because I don't miss the chronic anxiety I felt just contacting her. Like texting her, calling her, and I don't miss the intentional things that she would say to me that she knew would tear me down and hurt me. I don't miss that. I don't miss, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. You can't buy this. You can't buy that. You can't wear this. You can't wear that. You can't talk to this person. You can only talk to this person. You can't get into a car with this person. You can only get into a car with me. And it's like, it's a complete control thing. It's a complete control thing, and it is a complete narcissism trait. I fully believe that my ex is a textbook narcissist. And it's just ridiculous, like literally insane to me how anybody could treat somebody like that and make you feel bad about their own behavior towards you. Like, I don't know, she just made all these broken promises to me, promised me that I would have Frankie back. She didn't keep any of her promises, even though I was the one who was always faithful. I was the one who was always trying to be understanding, and I understand if sometimes I was a lot, you know, but you also have to realize that I wasn't getting the proper care that I needed to be a healthy partner. But she was also triggering me every which way that she knew how to trigger me. Like, I told her all the time, please don't take my phone from me. Please don't go through my phone. Like, because I didn't have, if there was like an emergency or whatever, and I had to call my mom, and I didn't have a phone, that's like, my phone is my personal private property, and if I ask you respectfully to not take it from me, please don't take it from me. Like, I told her, I was like, I don't want you to go through my phone, but I will tell you, I will answer any question that you ask me. Like, I'm not gonna hide anything from you. And even though I knew in my conscience and in my heart that I wasn't hiding anything from her, she somehow always twisted the narrative around and manipulated me into thinking that I was hiding something from her. And I don't know why this is, but I have like panic attacks over somebody taking my phone away. Like, I think it has to do with something I dealt with in school at one time, of people always picking on me and taking my stuff away from me. And teachers, I don't know, but that's not the point of this. The point is, if I respectfully ask you to do something or not to do something, please respect me. Like, respect was just like also a foreign concept to her when it came to my own emotional needs and my own emotional wants. But she was always like, I'd rather just go play video games right now. I don't want to spend any time with you. And, you know, it would be different if that was like a once in a while thing. Like, oh, you want space from me? That's fine. Go do your thing. But it was like a day after day, week after week thing. Like, she literally wanted nothing to do with me. And I'm a talker. I like to talk things through. I like to come up with a rational decision, even if it means having to be patient to come by a rational decision and compromising. And that was also just a foreign concept to her. And honestly, I eventually just started thinking, I truly do not think that she cares enough about me to change her own ways. But I was willing to do everything I knew how to do to change myself for her. It didn't matter to me how empty I felt inside, as long as she was happy. Her happiness was the only thing that mattered to me. And I think that's where I made a lot of my mistakes in taking care of myself and looking out for myself. I really, until I left this relationship, I didn't love myself. I didn't make enough room. That relationship took so much, it was so consuming that there was no room left for my actual self to grow and love myself and allow myself to have a life. I am a 26-year-old woman. I want to live my life. I want to live a happy life. I deserve that. I think after all of the suffering that I've gone through with my mental health and with my relationships in my life, I think I'm entitled to living a life that I'm happy with, regardless of what anybody else thinks. It took me leaving that relationship to truly find my true value in who I am as a person, and finally allowing myself to grow and learn to love myself. And I found, a better relationship with God. And even though I'm a lesbian, that doesn't dictate my relationship with God. And I'm just being so blessed, and my life is so filled with so much abundance and joy, and I just really felt like I missed out, and I'm just really glad that I finally got to this point. And I'm not in contact with my ex-wife anymore. I don't think I ever will be again. At this point in time, definitely not, because I am learning to protect my peace and protect myself fully. Grief is a very weird thing. It's very strange. It's very it's not linear at all. It's a pretty rocky thing to deal with. But I would honestly rather deal with temporary spouts of grief while also living a happy life over living a miserable life, and all I'm ever gonna get are from happiness are dopamine hits, because that's not a way to live. I would rather just go through my grief and grow from it and change with it, while also being the happiest that I've ever been in my life, instead of suffering in a relationship that I'm never gonna positively benefit from, that I'm never gonna grow from, that I'm never going to have a bright future with. You know what I'm saying? I don't wish any ill will towards her. I don't hate her. I hope she's well. But I just don't, she doesn't belong in my life. And I'm very, especially nowadays, I'm very protective over my peace. And if this video is helping anybody going through this or has gone through a similar situation, my advice to you is embrace in the things that you enjoy doing. Embrace in the small, joyous things in life. And just know that you do have the strength to push through it. You do have the strength to walk away, even if it feels like you don't. I promise you that you do. And, just take care of yourself. Make sure you are taken care of first before anyone else. You should always be above other people for you. I'm not saying, choose like only choose yourself if it's, I'm not talking about it in a toxic way. I'm talking about in a healthy way that is fulfilling to you, in a positive way that nourishes your spirit, that nourishes your life, that nourishes your own relationships. I just really want everyone to remember that you're all worthy of love. You're all worthy of self-love. You're all worthy of recovering. You're all worthy of happiness. You're all worthy of being fully healed and healthy. And I truly wish the best for everyone, including my ex, who sees this. So, yeah, I hope this video was like maybe answered some questions that maybe nobody had, but I just felt like I needed to address this. So with that, I am gonna go. I will see you guys next time. Bye.